Alright, it's time to switch out shoes again. I've got a new set of the Ultra Venture 3s from Topo. And just like I've shown you in previous videos, you can kind of see where the tread's worn off the bottom. These shoes this time, don't know exactly how many miles I've got on them, but I've kicked them a little worse around the toe. But overall, they still look pretty good. This one, I've kicked it worse right here. And it is starting to come loose a little bit right there. That's not happened on any of the others. I'll have to look and see how many miles I got on them. But you can see just your typical wear on the bottom. So this will be my last pair. Alright. Alright. I'm sitting here with Beth. We're in Lincoln, New Hampshire. And I wanted to ask Beth kind of a general question, but before I do, I'll just say that when we decided I was going to do this thing, we also decided that she would come out about once a month and visit me on the trail. We did that. They picked me up in Hot Springs, took me to Asheville. We got to see each other a good bit in the Roanoke area, since that's where my kids live, and they were doing some slack packing for me, and so Beth came down a couple times. You know, we did trail magic, and so we were around each other through a good part of Virginia. She took me to trail days, blah blah blah. So she came out to Warwick, New York, and now this is their last visit in Lincoln, New Hampshire. So I've appreciated that. She's brought me shoes, supplies, food, whatever I needed. Every time one of these trips was come due, she would make a list and bring all the things that I wanted. But my question for her is, well, I'll just say it like this. Give us a little bit of a sense of what it's like to be the spouse of a thru hiker. You know, when it's somewhere in the neighborhood of 6 months away, what's it like to be the one holding down the fort?
Well, actually, it begins before the hike begins, because I would say that I felt like Trent had kind of left about 2 months before he left, because you have to be so wrapped up in making your plans and getting everything together. So, there's adjustments. It's gone really fast, which surprised me. I mean, you know, probably have 6 weeks or so left, but early on, I said to him, you know, when we talk on the phone, I could say, oh, I miss you, or he could say, I miss you. We just said, let's just put that emotional part, we'll just kind of compartmentalize that and do this thing. So that was one thing. Just didn't dwell on, you know, anything that would be a downer or anything. We just went at this as an adventure that he was going to take, and we're going to make it happen. So I think pretty much as his spouse, I felt like, and I think it has to be this way, but he's very consumed with what he's doing and making his plans. And what's going to happen next and where he's going to be. I was talking to a friend, and she said, he has to be that way to make this happen, to get it done. And, I thought about that. I said, yeah, that's exactly right. He does. He has to be, he's very, very involved. So what else do you want to know?
Well, what about the practical things? What about just kind of keeping up with things around the house? How's that going?
I'm about tired of mowing. That's probably been maybe one of the biggest things. But and my stepson changed the oil in my car, so that's helpful.
Your son did too.
Yes, JD did too.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's been not so hard, but he has family support. I also have family support. His kids are really helpful, or my stepkids are really helpful to me, and then my two sons are helpful, and my daughter-in-law. So I always had somebody, and Deborah, I always had somebody to turn to if there was anything I needed, and I'm sure that was comforting to him as well as to me.
Yeah. I had a thought, now it's gone. That's the hiker brain.
It's hard for me to keep up with exactly where he is. I have the guide, so I always try to figure out if he's gone that many miles, that means he's here and he's going to be there. So that's been kind of a fun game for me to try to follow along with.
Well, I think where I was headed was most time we have cell signal, and most of the time we get to talk every day. Sometimes when I get to camp, there's no signal, so we don't get to end the day, but then I usually will try to call her first time I get signal the next day. So we have been able to keep in touch. Sometimes I have one bar camp call, but I'll send a text. So I think that's good. They also stalk me on a phone app.
Life 360.
Yeah.
You can stalk him a little bit.
So another friend asks you if you worried about me. And what was that response?
And I said, no, not much. Of course, I don't want anything bad to happen, but I feel like he was pretty well prepared, and he thinks things through, and he's not going to do anything crazy. And if he has to get off trail, he'd get off trail. I think that, that's the way he works. So,
Yeah.
I didn't have a lot of concerns. Caleb asked me if I was scared to be at home by myself, and I said, well, Caleb, I'm not yet. So
it's funny, you're sitting there talking and I have thoughts going through my head, and then when it comes time for me to ask him, I've already forgotten them.
That is a little change I notice in
Yeah,
him right now.
I guess that's where I was headed is you've expressed a little bit of concerns about when I get home. What do you think that's going to be?
Well, I talked to another hiker's wife that he had hiked last year, and I asked her about that because I was kind of wondering, like, what's the transition from trail to home? What's that going to be like? And she told me it was interesting. She said, I thought maybe like 2-3 weeks, then he'd be back to normal. And she said it was about twice that much time before things got back to normal. I think the fact that he is coming back into a retired situation, he doesn't have to think about his work. I mean, he has plenty of work to do around the house and stuff, but that's going to make that transition easier, I think.
Yeah, I heard someone else say that the other day. A lot of these thru hikers make big changes in order to come out here. Some of them sell their homes. Some of them, quit their jobs. But we have our home. I'm retired, so we don't have those kind of transitions to worry about. A lot of these kids going home, they don't have a job. They don't have a place to live. They have to figure all that out all over again. So a little bit easier for me in that sense, and you as well. Any other advice or wisdom you would give to spouses of thru hikers?
I just think you have to stand behind your person and be their support system, and that they can trust you and depend on you. And I know I can trust him and depend on him. So I probably will never do anything quite this extreme, but I'm sure if I made a choice,
And I never will again either.
that he would be supportive. It's been fun to follow him and to watch comments that people make. I really enjoy being able to see that.
I've really had good support from subscribers. They've been very, very positive and very supportive and encouraging. And I think a lot of it's due to the demographic. You know, I'm older, and therefore my subscribers are more like my age, and we
Not all of them.
not all of them, but a lot of them, and we've kind of matured, I guess, a little bit. Well, anyway, Beth, I appreciate your thoughts, and I certainly appreciate everything you've done for me out here on the trail, and been supportive and cheered me on, and like you said, cheered me on before I ever left. So appreciate it very much, and thanks for just giving a little insight and what it's like to be on the other end of this thing.
Absolutely.
All righty. Thanks. All right. Good morning, good afternoon, and good night. And welcome to Gray Man Walking. Today was day 134, a 0 day in Lincoln, New Hampshire. As you've seen, I treated my clothes. I compared the wear on my old topos, and I interviewed the spouse of a thru hiker. It was a good day. We fixed a good meal here, including corn on the cob and an ice cream dessert. So needless to say, old Gray Man's a happy fella. Tomorrow it's back to hiking. We're going to see you then. Good night.